Hi, I want to talk about the dyslexia assignment, which is due week 5. This assignment, just like the research paper, is submitted to Chalk and Wire and Moodle. I want to talk a little bit about the rubrics before I go into the assignment. There is a rubric for Chalk and Wire, and there is a rubric for Moodle. The content of the rubrics are exactly the same. What differs are the point values. This is the rubric for the Chalk and Wire, and the maximum is 4 points. If you look at the Moodle rubric for the dyslexia assignment, it's 12 points. But the content of the rubrics are the same. Okay. Now, you're going to have students in your classroom at some point that struggle with reading, and that's going to be due to being diagnosed with dyslexia, and that is a medical diagnosis. As an educator, you need to be aware of the warning signs connected to dyslexia, as well as ways you can universally design your own curriculum to meet the needs of all your learners. What you do to help the students with dyslexia will help all of your students. It will help those students that learn visually or students that struggle to process information. Whatever strategies you use to help the student with dyslexia are also going to help all of the students in your class. This assignment is meant for you to choose a content reading strategy that would be appropriate for students with dyslexia. Now, where are you going to get these content reading strategies? 2 of your texts, Tools for Teaching Content Literacy and More Tools for Teaching Content Literacy, are loaded with these strategies. That's what they are. And Janet Allen does such a nice job separating the strategies. Some of them are what you do before, such as assess and build content knowledge. Some of the strategies are to support and monitor comprehension, which would be during your lesson. And others are to extend and evaluate content knowledge, which would be after the lesson. Also, in our text, Subjects Matter, on pages 90 and 91, there are several content reading strategies that you can also choose from, and then they are described beginning on page 94 through 174. So that's where the content reading strategies come from. Now, your task is to pick a topic in your content area. So that could be language arts, science, social studies, math, financial literacy, PE, health education. Then you're going to find a content standard from the Ohio Learning Standards that is appropriately connected to the topic. And I have provided a link for the Ohio Learning Standards under Instructor Announcements, which is on Moodle. Next, you're going to write a measurable objective related to the standard. There is also a video about writing measurable objectives. Then you're going to design an activity where you choose a content reading strategy that could be used with students that have dyslexia. You choose a strategy for that activity and explain why you're using it. Connect your explanation to resources from our course or from independent research you found on your own. Finally, you're going to create a type of self-assessment for the student with dyslexia. This self-assessment can be a checklist or a reflection instrument that the student will use. You include that student self-assessment with this assignment. Here is a template link for you that you'll be using for this assignment, and you can download it and print it right from Moodle. Again, this is a key assessment that is submitted to Chalk and Wire, and it also goes to Moodle. Here is a dyslexia handbook, what every teacher needs to know. Lots of good information in there. Here is an example lesson. This teacher chose the topic rocks and minerals. And the topic is not a content area. A topic is just that, a topic found within the content area. Grade 3 is the grade level. This has an English language arts standard, and it also has a science standard. So this lesson has two standards, one for the content area and one for literacy. And this is RI, which is reading informational text, as it has to do with rocks and minerals. The next section is a measurable objective or learning outcome. This must follow the condition, behavior, criteria format. This link gives specific information on how to write measurable objectives or learning outcomes that follow the condition, behavior, criteria format. So an example that's provided here is students will be able to make entries into their science notebook to illustrate and define the academic language terms necessary to understand the lesson, including rock, mineral, geologist, inorganic, shape, streak, magnifying glass, luster, texture, and inorganic with 90% accuracy. This is the section where you discuss the strategy that you chose with an explanation. Citations made to dyslexia research on supporting students with dyslexia in the content area. Rationale for the strategy directly aligns with the objective and the selected topic. Demonstrates strong knowledge of content-specific concepts and clearly states 3 to 4 reasons why the selected strategy best supports desired learning outcomes for all students. It is not necessary to include items such as graphic organizers or worksheets. An explanation will suffice. So they've talked about the strategy, the rationale for the strategy. It's backed up by research and 3 to 4 reasons why that strategy best supports the learning outcome for all students. The last section is the creation of a self-assessment for a student with dyslexia. Now, this must align with the selected strategy and could be used by the learner to gauge their own progress toward the objective. It needs to be developmentally appropriate for your target age group. It must use clear language, be user-friendly, use appropriate font choice and layout, and includes all steps of the strategy, which links back up to here. The self-assessment must be included in this document. If you have any questions about this, please don't wait until week 5 to ask me a question. Please be thinking about this as soon as our class begins. If you would like for me to look over your measurable objectives or learning outcomes prior to week 5, I will look over those measurable objectives for you anytime during week 1, during week 2, and during week 3. After that, I will not have time to preview those for you. So anytime during week 1, 2, or 3, I can look over your measurable objectives if you have questions about them. And here again is a template that you can download. You're going to submit this in week 5 on Moodle. If you have any questions, please ask me.